this provided a really good opportunity to see whether there was some way to use that interview as a launching pad for perhaps some kind of a different relationship with Iran.
You say that you want to talk to the American people. Are you prepared to sit down eventually and talk to the American government?
Dialogue between civilizations and nations is different from political relations. Right now, I recommend the exchange of professors, writers, scholars, artists, journalists, and tourists.
So we understood he wasn't able to bring the regime around to having an official dialogue. And so our response was, fine, we'll go for the dialogue of civilization.
The dialogue of civilization began with wrestling. The US sent a team to compete in the biggest event in Iran's sporting calendar.
On the plane over, gave us a briefing, kind of told us our do's and our don'ts. You know, we couldn't walk around in shorts with our shirts off. We couldn't shake hands with the women. Just no political stuff.
It was the first time any official representatives of the United States had entered Iran in the 17 years since the seizure of the US embassy there.
When we landed there late at night, we all looked at each other and gave a big sigh. Well, here we go.
How do you feel about coming to Iran, please?
I feel excited.
What do you think about the Iranian team?
They're good.
Wasn't what we expected, you know, debt to America, all those things. I walk out in the stadium, kind of look out there, and it's just filled. There was people sitting on the steps. There was no place to sit.
این کشتی یک بار روحی خیلی سنگینی رو ایجاد می‌کرد و در واقع جنگ ایران و امریکا به حساب می اومد. ولی کشتی 3-3 تموم شد. امتیاز اون مساویه و باید وارد وقت اضافه بشیم.
After the match was over with, and he comes over to me and asks me if I would carry this picture out. You know, and of course I look at him and I said, am I going to get in trouble for this? You know, we're not supposed to do anything political.
مسئولین برگزار کننده می‌خواستن حس مودت و دوستی رو بیشتر کنن.
When I looked at it and I saw that it was his religious leader, it was the second one, the one that was in power at that time. And I thought to myself, okay, it's a religious thing. I don't see any problem with it. I got up on the stance and just had it down.
گفتم عکس رو بالاتر ببر. ایشون هم به ندای من لبیک و عکس رو بالای سرش برد. به این شکل بود.
So I held mine up in the air. You know, we both had it up in the air and the crowd just went crazy.
معتقد بودیم که این گام مهمی است. ما فکر می‌کردیم هرچی ملت با هم نزدیک بشن دولت‌هاشون رو واقع بین تر می‌کنن و میتونن به سیاست‌های بهتری برسن.
The dialogue of civilizations succeeded in getting its message to the top. But before dialogue between the states could begin, another allegation that Iran had sponsored terrorism had to be dealt with. A year before Khatami was elected, a truck bomb had killed 19 American servicemen and wounded 372.
I thought, as soon as I heard the news, that I had to consider going to the scene. So I diverted my plane to Saudi Arabia and I visited the site. And there was this building with the whole front of it just sheared off so you could see into all the rooms. Floodlights were illuminating it. It looked like a terrible movie set of devastation.
Good morning. Let me be very clear. We will not resist, we will not rest in our efforts to find who is responsible for this outrage, to pursue them and to punish them.
There was some evidence that Iran had been involved, and many people are advocating some prompt action against Iran.
Last night, I directed an FBI team of 40 experts, investigators and forensic experts, to go there to work with the Saudi Arabian authorities.
After 3 years, the FBI believed they had seen conclusive evidence.
The FBI gets access to the prisoners that the Saudis are holding, and we get the smoking gun that the Iranians were responsible for the Khobar Towers bombing. And we had to decide what were we going to do about it now.
Some of Clinton's advisers argued for military retaliation. But the State Department argued that since Khatami became president, Iran's support for terrorism had declined.
And the question was how to separate Khatami out from previous actions and not hold him responsible.
We thought it was better to see if he would act against the people responsible, particularly the intelligence chiefs who had sent the bombers and the people that we believed were involved in the bombing who had sanctuary in Iran.
So President Clinton sent 2 aides to see a sultan in France.
The drive was about an hour outside of Paris through the rolling countryside of the Seine River Valley to this magnificent residence.
It was the summer retreat of a good friend to both America and Iran, Sultan Qaboos of Oman.
I said, Your Majesty, we come here as envoys for President Clinton with a message that we would like you to find a way to deliver.
ثم سألونا ما إذا كان بإمكاننا أن نوصل هذه الرسالة إلى يد الرئيس خاتمي شخصيا.
We wanted to try to make sure that he was the only one who knew, because hardliners in Tehran were doing their best to prevent him from going forward with his, what we understood to be his desire to normalize relations with the United States.
ولكننا نريد أن نعرف ماذا في الرسالة. إذا كانت هذه الرسالة تنطوي على تهديدات فإحنا ناسف لا نستطيع أن نأخذ هذه الرسالة.
I said the letter explained that the United States wanted to have a positive relationship with Iran, but that there was this problem.
We know that Iran was directly involved in a terrorist operation that killed 19 Americans, and we need some answer from the Iranians that they're going to hold those involved responsible and bring them to justice.
His Majesty said, we'll do whatever we can.
Soon after, Oman's foreign minister arrived in Tehran with President Clinton's letter.
في هذه الرسالة بشيء من الأهمية وأن هذه فرصة ربما باب فتح لزيادة يعني الاتصالات.
اما خب این مسئله ویژه‌ای بود که اولا خود رئیس جمهور این پیام را میده. لحن پیام مؤدبانه بود اما میشد ازش استنباط نوع تهدید بکنه آدم.
الرئيس خاتمي أكد بصورة فيها كثير من الجدية أن إيران ليس لها دخل بما حصل في الخبر.
پذیرش پیام ایشون معناش این بود که ما اتهام را قبول کردیم در حالی که واقعیت نداشت.
Iran maintains Al-Qaeda was responsible for the Khobar bombing. No matter who was behind it, to launch the investigation the Americans asked for would mean challenging the most powerful forces in Iran.
عدم آشنایی سیاستمداران آمریکا با اوضاع ایران با اوضاع منطقه سبب شد که اشتباهات بزرگی بکنن و اون فضایی که میتونست به نفع هر دو کشور باشه اون فضا تا حدودی بسته شد.
We got the response back through the Omanis. To put it simply, it was disappointing.